Well, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to do, quote, all it takes to make sure the Jewish state is not hurt by the anti-settlement resolution passed by the United Nations Security Council last week. The Prime Minister slamming President Obama over the weekend, accusing him of launching an ambush, he said, against Israel. The U.S. breaking with long-standing past practices of vetoing such measures, this time in the waning days of the Obama administration, allowing the UN Security Council to pass that measure.
I'm encouraged by the statements of our friends in the United States, Republicans and Democrats alike. They understand how reckless and destructive this UN resolution was. They understand that the Western Wall isn't occupied territory.
So, what is next for the U.S.-Israeli relationship and the pursuit of peace with the Palestinians? Gillian Turner joins us, a former member of the National Security Staff under Presidents Bush and Obama, vice president of the Jones Group and a Fox News contributor. Gillian, good to see you. Let me first start with the breaking news this morning. David Keyes, the Prime Minister's spokesman, saying that they have, quote, ironclad information that the administration was behind this. White House denying it. Do you think we will eventually see that ironclad information, as he said, and do you believe it?
I'll believe it when I see it is the best answer there. I think that at this point the Netanyahu administration is so upset with President Obama and his White House that they're sort of willing to say anything. So I really won't believe it until I see concrete evidence of that. I don't, for one, personally believe that's true.
And what about, you know, the resolution and what it means for peace? You know, critics, of course, say the settlements are illegal, that they break international law. Other supporters say certainly not at all, as they continue, and the Prime Minister has shown basically no sense of backing off of the increased building and expanding of those settlements.
So, as you mentioned a moment ago, the UN abstention by the United States is unprecedented, but from a certain perspective, it's really not very surprising. The position of the Obama administration all along has always been that continued and unfettered expansion in the West Bank is anathema to a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians, and that it also undermines Israel's own long-term national security interests. So the fact that as a last move, as he's leaving office, he decided to take a really hard stance on this issue, it's not something that I found shocking. There's millions of Israelis there in Israel and around the world, by the way, that actually agree with President Obama on this.
But others, you know, say that they need that protection, that these are the 67 lines. As you know, Naftali Bennett, chairman of the Jewish Home Party, for example, and some of the more right wing in the coalition, you know, they say this is certainly legal. There's even that bill to try to get more private Palestinian land, kind of like eminent domain, and this will continue.
Well, but again, those hardliners are the same people who really don't believe in the two-state solution. They believe that Israel should reign supreme in the region, and that's it. They don't really care about what happens to the millions of Palestinians who live there as well. So I'd, you know, caution about that as well.
Well, is that fair to say that they don't care? I mean, they have seen, you know, they haven't seen peace, you know, for decades. And David Friedman, who is the designated as the U.S. ambassador to Israel, is a big supporter of the settlements. He apparently raises money for those, as well as questioning the two-state solution, basically, you know, against it.
Again, you know, that's a very hard-line approach to take here. Somebody like David Friedman has the potential, as ambassador, to really go against the grain and really cause some potential damage in the bilateral relationship in the other direction. So if this this abstention from the UN resolution is damaging our relations with the Israelis sort of on the left, this is the alternative on the right. I think we still have to focus on finding middle ground here at the end of the day. As simplistic as that sounds, there's not really room for this kind of grandstanding and provocation of rhetoric. People have to come together and work, kind of hammer through these issues here. And Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has done a spectacular job of exploiting our political system here at home over the last 4 years. He's completely allied himself with Republicans, with conservatives, and hasn't really cared about the Democrats and that issue at all. I would argue that's dangerous for Israel's long-term national interests, because never before has this issue been so politicized here in the U.S.
Well, finally, quickly, what do you think is going to happen? I mean, Friedman against the two-state solution, and there's commentary today saying this could start a complete reset, you know, after decades of failure.
Well, a lot of Jews, like myself, are going to take offense to his previous comments when he said things like contemporary Jews in the United States and in the diaspora who sort of go against West Bank expansion and settlement policy are as bad as Jews who during the Holocaust supported Nazis. So I think there's a lot to be said about who's offending who here, and that all will get washed out. But again, it comes down to whether the incoming Trump administration is going to be able to work together with both sides, make them feel both legitimately and equally represented at a negotiating table. Well, that's the real challenge.
As Mr. Trump tweeted, it will change at the UN certainly on January 20th. Certainly a new era is coming. Gillian Turner, as always, thank you for your insight.
Thank you, Eric.